She arrived at the elite fighter squadron as just another rookie pilot. Everyone doubted her abilities. Then during a critical mission, her aircraft systems failed at 30,000 feet. What happened next shocked even the most experienced F-22 pilots and earned her a legendary call sign that nobody saw coming. Before you watch full story, comment below from which country are you watching. Don't forget to subscribe for more amazing stories. Lieutenant Sarah Chin stood at the edge of the airfield, watching the sun rise over the runway. Her new squadron patch felt heavy on her flight suit. She had just arrived at Nellis Air Force Base in Nevada, home to some of the most skilled fighter pilots in the world. Sarah was 28 years old and fresh from flight school. She had worked hard to earn her wings, but she knew what everyone was thinking. She was the new girl. The outsider. The one who had to prove herself. The base was already busy with morning activity. Ground crews checked aircraft. Pilots walked toward the briefing rooms. Everyone seemed to know exactly where they belonged. Everyone except Sarah. Lieutenant Chin. A voice called from behind her. Sarah turned around. A tall man in his 40s walked toward her. His flight suit showed the rank of major. His face was stern but not unfriendly. "Yes, sir," Sarah replied, standing straight. "I'm Major Roberts. Welcome to the 433rd Fighter Squadron. I hope you're ready for hard work." "Yes, sir. I am." Major Roberts looked at her carefully. "You're the first female pilot we've had in this squadron in 3 years. Some of the guys might give you a hard time. Don't let it bother you. Just do your job." "I understand, sir." "Good. Follow me. I'll introduce you to the team." Sarah walked behind the major toward a large building. Her heart was beating fast. She had dreamed of this moment for years. Flying the F-16 Fighting Falcon was everything she had worked for. Inside the briefing room, about 20 pilots sat around tables. They all looked up when Sarah entered. The room became quiet. "Gentlemen, this is Lieutenant Sarah Chin. She's our new pilot. Treat her like any other member of this squadron." Major Roberts turned to Sarah. "Chen, take a seat. We're about to start the morning briefing." Sarah sat down at an empty chair. She could feel eyes on her. Some pilots nodded. Others just stared. One pilot, a young man with red hair, whispered something to his friend. They both smiled. The briefing began. Major Roberts explained the training missions for the day. Sarah listened carefully, taking notes. She wanted to remember everything. After the briefing, pilots started leaving the room. Sarah gathered her things and stood up. "Hey, new girl." The red-haired pilot approached her. His name tag read, Captain Mike Stevens. His call sign patch said, Viper. "It's Lieutenant Chen," Sarah said calmly. "Right, Lieutenant. So what's your call sign?" Sarah hesitated. "I don't have one yet." Captain Stevens laughed. "No call sign. Well, we'll have to fix that. Maybe we'll call you Rookie or Fresh Meat." Another pilot joined them. He was older, maybe in his late 30s. His call sign was Hawk. He looked at Sarah with serious eyes. "Don't mind Stevens. He gives everyone a hard time," Hawk said. "But he's right about one thing. You need to earn your call sign here. It's not something we give out easily." "I understand," Sarah replied. "I'm ready to earn my place." "We'll see," Stevens said, still smiling. "Your first training flight is tomorrow morning. Try not to crash." Sarah felt anger rising in her chest, but she kept her face calm. "I'll do my best." The pilots walked away, leaving Sarah alone in the briefing room. She took a deep breath. This was going to be harder than she thought. The next morning, Sarah arrived at the flight line before sunrise. She wanted to check her aircraft early. Her F-16 stood on the tarmac, painted in the standard gray color. The ground crew was already working on it. "Morning, Lieutenant," said one of the crew members, a young man named Tommy. "She's all ready for you. Everything checks out." "Thank you," Sarah said. She walked around the aircraft, checking everything herself. Her father had taught her this. He was a mechanic in the Navy. He always said, "Trust your crew, but always check for yourself." "You're up early," a voice said. Sarah turned. It was Hawk, the older pilot from yesterday. He carried his helmet under his arm. "I like to be prepared," Sarah said. Hawk nodded. "Good habit. I do the same thing." He looked at her aircraft. "This is your first flight with the squadron. You nervous?" "A little," Sarah admitted. "That's normal. But remember, you already passed flight school. You know how to fly. Just focus on the mission." "Thank you, sir." "Don't call me sir. My call sign is Hawk. Use that." "Okay, Hawk." Hawk smiled for the first time. "You're going to do fine, Chen. Just don't let Stevens get in your head. He's actually a good pilot, even if he's annoying." The morning briefing was short. Sarah's mission was simple. She would fly with 3 other pilots in a training exercise. They would practice formation flying and basic combat maneuvers. Stevens was her flight leader. At exactly 0800 hours, Sarah climbed into her cockpit. The familiar smell of jet fuel and electronics filled her nose. She went through her pre-flight checklist, checking every switch and instrument. "Tower, this is Viper 1, requesting clearance for takeoff," Stevens' voice came through her radio. "Viper 1, you are cleared for takeoff." Sarah watched as Stevens' F-16 rolled down the runway and lifted into the air. Then it was her turn. "Tower, this is Viper 4, requesting clearance for takeoff." "Viper 4, you are cleared." Sarah pushed the throttle forward. The F-16's engine roared. She felt the power pushing her back into her seat. The aircraft picked up speed. The runway rushed past. Then she was airborne. The feeling was incredible. Every time Sarah flew, she felt free. The ground fell away below her. The sky opened up above. This was where she belonged. "Viper 4, join formation," Stevens ordered. Sarah maneuvered her aircraft into position behind and to the right of Stevens. The other 2 pilots formed up on the left side. For the next hour, they flew through various training exercises. Sarah focused on every command, every movement. She kept her aircraft exactly where it needed to be. No mistakes. No errors. "Not bad, rookie," Stevens said over the radio. "Let's see how you handle some combat maneuvers. Brake right." Suddenly, Stevens' aircraft turned sharply. Sarah reacted immediately, following his movement. The G-forces pushed her into her seat. She controlled her breathing, staying calm. They flew through a series of aggressive turns and climbs. Sarah matched every move. She had practiced these maneuvers hundreds of times in training. Her body knew what to do. "Viper 4, you're doing good," came Hawk's voice. He was Viper 2. "Keep it tight." After 2 hours, they returned to base. Sarah landed smoothly, guiding her F-16 onto the runway with precision. Her wheels touched down perfectly. In the debriefing room, Major Roberts reviewed the flight data. "Lieutenant Chen, your performance was solid," he said. "Good formation flying. Quick reactions. No major mistakes." Stevens leaned back in his chair. "I'll admit it. She can fly. But one good flight doesn't make you part of this squadron." "Nobody said it did," Sarah replied. "I'm here to work hard and get better every day." Major Roberts nodded. That's the right attitude. Dismissed. As Sarah left the room, Hawk caught up with her in the hallway. You did well today, he said. Really well. Stevens won't admit it, but he was impressed. Thank you. But I know I still have a lot to prove. You do. We all do. Every single day. Hawk paused. Some advice? Don't try too hard to fit in. Just be yourself and do your job. The rest will follow. Sarah appreciated his words. I'll remember that. Over the next 3 weeks, Sarah flew almost every day. Morning flights. Afternoon flights. Night training missions. She practiced dogfighting, precision bombing, and emergency procedures. Slowly, the other pilots started warming up to her. They saw that she worked hard. She studied every mission carefully. She listened to feedback. She never complained. Hawk became something like a mentor. After training flights, he would review her performance and give her tips. He told her about his own early days as a pilot. I made so many mistakes when I started, Hawk said one afternoon. They sat in the ready room, drinking coffee. I crashed a simulator 3 times in 1 week. My instructor thought I would never make it. What changed? Sarah asked. I stopped trying to be perfect. I realized that good pilots make mistakes. Great pilots learn from them. Sarah thought about this. She was always so afraid of making mistakes. Maybe that was holding her back. Even Steven started treating her differently. He still made jokes, but they were less mean. More like the jokes he made with everyone else. One day, after a particularly difficult training mission, Stevens approached her. Chen, you pulled off a nice move up there today, he said. That reverse turn was smooth. Thanks, Stevens. I'm man enough to admit when I'm wrong. You're a good pilot. Better than some guys we've had here. Coming from Stevens, this was high praise. Sarah smiled. I appreciate that. Don't let it go to your head, Stevens said, but he was smiling too. Sarah was starting to feel like she belonged. The other pilots talked to her more. They included her in conversations. She was becoming part of the team. But she still didn't have a call sign. Call signs were important in fighter squadrons. They were a sign of acceptance. A symbol that you were truly one of them. Be patient, Hawk told her. Call signs come when they come. Usually from something memorable that happens. What's the story behind your call sign? Sarah asked. Hawk laughed. During my first deployment, I spotted an enemy aircraft before anyone else on 3 different missions. Someone said I had the eyes of a hawk. The name stuck. That's a good story. Most call signs have good stories. Sometimes funny ones. Sometimes serious ones. Yours will come. Sarah hoped he was right. In the 4th week, Major Roberts announced a special training exercise. The squadron would participate in joint operations with F-22 Raptor pilots from a visiting squadron. The F-22 was the most advanced fighter jet in the world. It was faster, more maneuverable, and more expensive than the F-16. F-22 pilots were considered the elite of the elite. This is a big opportunity, Major Roberts said during the briefing. The F-22 pilots will be acting as enemy aircraft. Your job is to engage them in mock combat. This will be challenging. The F-22 has significant advantages. But good tactics and teamwork can level the playing field. Sarah felt nervous and excited. This would be her biggest test yet. The F-22 pilots arrived the next day. Sarah saw them walking across the airfield. They carried themselves with confidence. Their flight suits looked newer. Their equipment looked more advanced. During the joint briefing, Sarah met some of them. They were professional but distant. One pilot, a lieutenant colonel named Price, barely acknowledged her presence. "So they let anyone fly F-16s now?" Price said to his wingman, loud enough for Sarah to hear. Sarah felt her face getting hot, but she said nothing. Hawk, standing nearby, gave her a look that said, "Ignore him." The exercise would take place over 3 days. Multiple missions. Different scenarios. Points would be scored based on simulated kills and mission objectives. On the first day, Sarah flew as Viper 4 in a 4-ship formation. Their mission was to intercept the F-22s before they could reach a target area. The F-22s were incredibly difficult to track. They moved faster than anything Sarah had ever encountered. Their stealth technology made them hard to detect on radar. Viper 1, contact bearing 290, high altitude, Sarah called out. She had spotted movement on her display. Copy, Viper 4. All aircraft, prepare to engage. The mock battle was intense. The F-22s used their superior speed to attack from unexpected angles. Sarah's squadron tried to work together, covering each other and setting up traps. But the F-22s dominated. By the end of the mission, they had scored 8 simulated kills. Sarah's squadron had scored only 2. In the debriefing, the F-22 pilots looked pleased with themselves. Lieutenant Colonel Price smirked. "Maybe if your pilots had more experience, this would be more interesting," he said. Major Roberts kept his expression neutral. "We'll see how the next missions go." That evening, Sarah studied the mission data. There had to be a way to counter the F-22's advantages. She thought about tactics, about angles, about timing. Hawk found her in the planning room at midnight. "You should get some sleep," he said. "I'm working on something," Sarah replied. "Look at this." She showed him her notes. The F-22s are faster and stealthier. But they're predictable. They use the same approach on every attack. Hit from high altitude, use speed to escape. Hawk looked at her analysis. "You're right. So what's your idea? What if we don't try to match their speed? What if we use lower altitude and tighter maneuvers? The F-22 is powerful, but it's also big. It can't turn as tight as an F-16 in close combat." "That could work," Hawk said slowly. "But it's risky. You have to let them get close first." "I know. But if we stay defensive, we'll just lose again." Hawk smiled. "I'll mention this to Major Roberts. This might be exactly what we need." The second day of the exercise started with better results. Using some of Sarah's tactical suggestions, the F-16 squadron performed better. They scored 4 kills against the F-22s and only lost 5 aircraft. Lieutenant Colonel Price wasn't smiling anymore. The third day was the final test. A complex mission involving multiple objectives. Sarah was assigned to a 2-ship element with Hawk. Their job was to provide cover for the main attack group. "This is it, Chen," Hawk said before they climbed into their aircraft. "Let's show them what we can do." The mission started well. Sarah and Hawk positioned themselves above the main group, watching for threats. The weather was clear. Perfect flying conditions. Then Sarah heard it. A sound that every pilot dreads. A warning alarm in her cockpit. "Viper 4, I'm showing a problem with my hydraulic system," Sarah called out, trying to stay calm. "Pressure is dropping. Viper 4, can you maintain control?" Major Roberts asked from the command center. Sarah checked her instruments. The hydraulic pressure was falling fast. The hydraulic system controlled her flight surfaces. Without it, the aircraft would become nearly impossible to fly. "Barely, sir. It's getting worse. Viper 4, abort the mission. Return to base immediately." Sarah turned her aircraft toward home. But the hydraulic pressure kept dropping. Her controls felt stiff. The aircraft wasn't responding normally. Viper 2, I'm staying with her, Hawk announced. He broke formation and flew alongside Sarah. Negative, Viper 2. Return to mission, Major Roberts ordered. With respect, sir, I'm staying with my wingman. Sarah appreciated Hawk's loyalty, but she was worried. The situation was getting worse. Warning lights flashed across her instrument panel. Viper 4, this is Tower. We're declaring an emergency. Emergency crews are standing by. Sarah's hands gripped the controls tightly. She fought to keep the aircraft level. Every movement required all her strength. Sweat ran down her face inside her helmet. Come on, she whispered to her aircraft. Stay with me. You're doing great, Chen, Hawk said over the radio. Just keep her steady. You're almost home. Sarah could see the airfield in the distance. So close. But her controls were barely responding now. The hydraulic system was almost completely failed. Viper 4, recommend you eject, came a voice from the tower. Aircraft is too damaged. Sarah looked at her instruments. The aircraft was worth millions of dollars. If she ejected, it would crash. But if she tried to land and failed, she could die. She thought about her father. He always said, take care of the aircraft, and it will take care of you. Negative, Tower. I can bring her in. Viper 4, that's not advisable. Eject now. I've got this, Sarah said firmly. Hawk's voice came through. Chen, I trust you. But be careful. Sarah lined up for the runway. Her approach had to be perfect. With barely any hydraulic pressure, she would only get one chance. The runway came closer. Sarah made tiny adjustments with her nearly frozen controls. Every muscle in her arms burned with effort. Speed is good, she told herself. Angle is good. You can do this. The runway rushed up to meet her. Sarah held the aircraft steady. At the last moment, she pulled back on the stick with all her strength. The nose came up. The wheels touched down. The aircraft bounced once, then settled onto the runway. Sarah immediately deployed the drag chute to slow down. The aircraft rolled to a stop. For a moment, Sarah just sat in the cockpit, breathing hard. She had done it. Viper 4, excellent job, came Major Roberts' voice. He sounded relieved. Outstanding flying. Emergency vehicles surrounded her aircraft. Crew members helped her out of the cockpit. Her legs felt weak when she stood on solid ground. Hawk landed right behind her. He climbed out of his F-16 and walked quickly to Sarah. That was incredible, he said. I've been flying for 15 years, and I've never seen anyone bring in an aircraft with complete hydraulic failure. Most pilots would have ejected. Other pilots gathered around. They had been listening to the radio. They heard everything. Stevens pushed through the crowd. Chen, that was some serious flying. Seriously impressive. Major Roberts arrived in a jeep. He looked at Sarah with new respect. Lieutenant Chen, that was professional pilot work. You stayed calm. You made the right decisions. You saved a multi-million-dollar aircraft. He paused. Not many pilots could have done what you just did. Sarah felt overwhelmed. Thank you, sir. I just did what I was trained to do. No, Major Roberts said. You did more than that. That evening, the entire squadron gathered in the common room. This included the visiting F-22 pilots. Major Roberts called for everyone's attention. We have some business to discuss, he announced. As you all know, Lieutenant Chen has been flying with us for a month now. Today, she demonstrated exceptional skill and courage. The room was quiet. Everyone looked at Sarah. It's tradition in this squadron to give a call sign to pilots who have proven themselves. Lieutenant Chen has definitely proven herself. Steven stood up. I have a suggestion for her call sign. Sarah felt nervous. Steven's could be unpredictable. When the hydraulic system failed, Chen's aircraft became incredibly difficult to control. Most of the flight surfaces rely on hydraulics. Without them, the aircraft basically becomes a glider with a powerful engine. But Chen brought it home anyway. She glided that broken bird right onto the runway. Stevens looked at Sarah with a genuine smile. I think we should call her Glider. Because she can bring home any aircraft, no matter what. The room erupted in agreement. Pilots nodded and clapped. Even the F-22 pilots looked impressed. Hawk stood up. I second that call sign. Glider. It's perfect. Major Roberts smiled. All in favor. Every hand in the room went up. Then it's official. From this day forward, Lieutenant Sarah Chen's call sign is Glider. Sarah felt emotions rising in her chest. This was what she had wanted. Acceptance. Recognition. A place in the squadron. Thank you, she said. I'm honored. Lieutenant Colonel Price, the F-22 pilot who had been dismissive before, approached Sarah. I owe you an apology, he said. I judged you before I saw you fly. What you did today was remarkable. You're a hell of a pilot. Thank you, sir, Sarah replied. Call me Price. And I mean it. That landing was textbook perfect under impossible conditions. After the ceremony, pilots came up to congratulate Sarah. Her new call sign patch would be made tomorrow. From now on, she would be known as Glider. Hawk found her outside, looking at the stars. How does it feel? He asked. Surreal, Sarah admitted. A month ago, I was the new girl. Everyone doubted me. Now I have a call sign. I'm part of the team. You earned it. Every bit of it. Sarah smiled. I couldn't have done it without your help. You believed in me when others didn't. I believed in you because I saw your potential. But you're the one who did the work. You're the one who flew that broken aircraft home. They stood in comfortable silence for a moment, watching the aircraft on the flight line. What's next for you, Glider? Hawk asked, using her new call sign for the first time. More training. More missions. Getting better every day. That's the right answer. The next few months were busy. Sarah flew more missions. She practiced advanced tactics. She trained with different squadrons. Every flight made her better. Her call sign became well known on the base. Other pilots heard the story of how she earned it. Some asked her for advice on emergency procedures. Sarah also became more confident. She spoke up more in briefings. She shared her tactical ideas. The other pilots listened because she had proven herself. One day, Major Roberts called her into his office. Glider, sit down, he said. Sarah sat, wondering if something was wrong. I'm recommending you for an advanced training program, Major Roberts said. It's at the Fighter Weapons School. Only the best pilots get selected. Sarah's eyes widened. The Fighter Weapons School was the ultimate achievement for fighter pilots. It was extremely difficult to get into. Sir, I don't know what to say. Say you'll work hard and represent this squadron well. Yes, sir. Absolutely. The training is 6 months long. It's intense. But I think you're ready for it. Sarah felt pride swelling in her chest. Thank you for this opportunity, sir. You've earned it, Glider. You've proven that you're not just a good pilot. You're an exceptional one. That evening, Sarah called her parents. Her father was so proud he could barely speak. Her mother cried happy tears. I always knew you could do it, her father said. From the day you first told me you wanted to fly, I knew you had what it takes. Thanks, Dad. I wish you could have seen the landing that earned my call sign. I heard all about it from your commander. He called me personally. Said you're one of the finest pilots he's ever worked with. Sarah hadn't known about that call. It made the achievement even more special. Before Sarah left for the fighter weapons school, the squadron had one final exercise. A large-scale operation involving multiple aircraft types. F-16s, F-22s, F-15s, and even some bomber aircraft. Sarah was assigned as a flight leader for the first time. She would command a 4-ship element of F-16s. This was a big responsibility. Nervous? Hawk asked the night before the mission. A little, Sarah admitted. I've never been a flight leader before. You'll do fine. Just remember everything you've learned. Trust your training. Trust your wingmen. What if I make a mistake? Then you'll learn from it. That's what makes you better. The mission briefing took 2 hours. It was complex, with many moving parts. Sarah studied her role carefully. She had to protect the bombers while they completed their mission objectives. The next morning, Sarah climbed into her F-16 with her call sign, Glider, painted on the side. She felt ready. Glider 1, you are cleared for takeoff, came the tower's voice. Sarah rolled down the runway and lifted into the sky. Behind her, Glider 2, 3, and 4 followed. Her element was airborne. The mission went smoothly at first. Sarah's element maintained position near the bombers. They watched for threats and coordinated with other fighters. Then the enemy aircraft appeared. A group of F-15s playing the role of hostile fighters. They came in fast and aggressive. Glider flight, brake left and engage, Sarah commanded. Her element split up, each pair of aircraft targeting different threats. Sarah focused on staying calm and making good decisions. Glider 2, you have a bandit on your 6, she called out, seeing one of her wingmen in trouble. Copy, Glider 1. I'm evading. Glider 3, support Glider 2. I'll handle the other targets. The mock dogfight was intense. Sarah maneuvered her F-16 through aggressive turns and climbs. She used every tactic she had learned. Splash 1, she called out, simulating a kill on an enemy aircraft. Good kill, Glider 1, came the response from the exercise controllers. For 20 minutes, the fight continued. Sarah's element worked together perfectly. They covered each other. They communicated clearly. They executed their tactics exactly as planned. When the mission ended, Sarah's element had completed all objectives. 0 losses. 5 simulated kills. In the debriefing, the mission commander praised Sarah's leadership. Excellent work, Glider. Your element performed flawlessly. Clear communication. Good tactics. Perfect execution. Stevens, who had been watching the mission data, nodded his approval. Not bad for a first time as flight leader, Glider. Actually, better than not bad. That was really good. Sarah felt proud but stayed humble. Thank you. My wingmen made it easy. A good leader always credits their team, Major Roberts said. But don't sell yourself short. You made smart decisions under pressure. That's what leadership is about. Sarah's last week with the squadron came quickly. She spent time with the pilots who had become her friends. They shared meals, told stories, and flew together one last time. On her final day, the squadron held a small ceremony. Major Roberts presented her with a plaque commemorating her time with the unit. Lieutenant Sarah Glider Chen, he read. For exceptional piloting skills, courage under pressure, and outstanding service to the 433rd Fighter Squadron. You arrived as the new girl. You're leaving as one of our finest pilots. The pilots clapped. Sarah saw respect in their eyes. Even Stevens looked a little sad to see her go. I want to thank everyone, Sarah said. When I arrived here, I was nervous and uncertain. You all helped me become a better pilot and a better person. This squadron will always be special to me. Hawk stepped forward and handed her a gift. It was a model F-16 with her call sign painted on it. So you remember where you earned your wings, he said. Sarah hugged him. I'll never forget. Thank you for everything, Hawk. Go show them what you can do at the fighter weapons school, he said. Make us proud. I will. That afternoon, Sarah packed her belongings and prepared to leave. As she walked to her car, she looked back at the flight line one last time. The F-16 sat on the tarmac, ready for the next mission. She thought about her journey. 4 months ago, she was just the new girl. Unproven. Doubted. But she had worked hard. She had faced challenges. She had earned her place. Now she was glider. A fighter pilot with a story. A call sign that meant something. As Sarah drove away from the base, she smiled. This was just the beginning. The fighter weapons school would bring new challenges. New opportunities to grow. But she was ready. She had proven to herself and others that she belonged in the sky. 3 years later, Captain Sarah Glider Chen returned to Nellis Air Force Base. She had completed the fighter weapons school with top marks. She had flown combat missions overseas. She had become one of the most respected fighter pilots in the Air Force. Now she was returning as an instructor. She would train the next generation of pilots. On her first day back, Sarah walked into the same briefing room where she had started her journey. Some things had changed. There were new faces. New aircraft on the flight line. But some things were the same. Hawk was still there, now a lieutenant colonel. Stevens had moved to a different base. Major Roberts had retired. Welcome back, Glider, Hawk said, shaking her hand. Or should I say, Captain Chen. Glider is fine, Sarah smiled. It's good to be back. We have a new pilot starting today. Fresh from flight school. She's nervous. Sarah looked across the room. A young woman in a flight suit stood by herself, looking uncertain. Sarah remembered that feeling. I'll talk to her, Sarah said. She walked over to the new pilot. Hi, I'm Captain Chen. Call sign Glider. You must be our new pilot. The young woman stood up straight. Yes, ma'am. Lieutenant Jessica Park. I'm honored to be here. First day nerves? Sarah asked kindly. Yes, ma'am. Everyone here is so experienced. I feel like I have to prove myself. Sarah smiled. You do. But that's okay. Everyone starts somewhere. I was in your exact position 3 years ago. I was the new girl too. Really? Really? And I'll tell you what someone told me. Don't try too hard to fit in. Just be yourself and do your job. The rest will follow. Lieutenant Park looked relieved. Thank you, ma'am. And one more thing. When things get tough, remember why you wanted to fly. Hold on to that. It will carry you through. The briefing started. Sarah took her place at the front of the room as an instructor. She looked at the pilots, including Lieutenant Park. All right, everyone. Let's talk about today's training mission, Sarah began. As she spoke, Sarah thought about her journey. From uncertain new pilot to confident instructor. From doubted outsider to respected leader. She had earned her call sign through courage and skill. She had proven that determination and hard work could overcome any obstacle. And now she would help others do the same. The story of Lieutenant Sarah Glider Chen wasn't just about one pilot's success. It was about perseverance. About proving yourself. About earning respect through actions, not words. She was just the new girl at first. But when her plane failed and she brought it home safely, her call sign shocked and impressed everyone. Now she was Captain Glider. Fighter pilot. Instructor. Role model. And this was only the beginning of her story. Lieutenant Jessica Park went on to earn her own call sign 6 months later. She became known as Phoenix after recovering from a difficult training accident and coming back stronger. Under Captain Glider's instruction, Park developed into an exceptional pilot. She credited Sarah's mentorship as crucial to her success. The tradition continued. Each new pilot faced challenges. Each one had to prove themselves. And each one had instructors like Glider who believed in them and pushed them to be better. Years later, when people asked about the greatest pilots at Nellis Air Force Base, they would mention several names. Captain Sarah Glider Chen was always among them. Not because she was the most naturally talented. Not because she never made mistakes. But because she showed what was possible through hard work, courage, and determination. She showed that being the new girl didn't mean being less capable. She earned her wings. She earned her call sign. She earned her place in the sky. And that made all the difference. 10 years after that famous emergency landing, Sarah reached the rank of colonel. She commanded her own fighter squadron. Young pilots looked up to her as a hero and inspiration. The story of her hydraulic failure landing became legendary in the Air Force. It was taught in flight schools as an example of excellent emergency procedures. Her calm decision-making under extreme pressure became a case study for pilot training programs worldwide. Sarah never forgot where she came from. She remembered being the new girl who had to fight for respect. Because of that, she made sure every new pilot in her command felt welcome and supported. She also kept in touch with Hawk, who eventually became a general. They remained close friends. Stevens retired and became a civilian flight instructor. Major Robert sent her a congratulations letter every time she got promoted. The model F-16 with Glider painted on it still sat on her desk. It reminded her of the journey. The struggles. The victories. The moment when everything changed. Sarah's daughter, now 8 years old, often asked about the model airplane. "Tell me again, Mom, about the day you got your call sign." And Sarah would smile and tell the story one more time. Because some stories deserve to be remembered forever.